Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Monet and you're watching Life is Monet. Welcome to my first TBR of the year. I took off January and decided not to use my prompt jar just because I had so much that was going on transitional wise in my life with school and work and my channel, and I was just like, you know what, I cannot commit. It is technically the second month of the year, but it's going to be the first month that I actually use my prompt jar. I want to make sure that in the month of February I have time to include books specifically to celebrate Black History Month. There's some really cool readathons that I want to participate in, and so I'm only going to pull 5 prompts from the jar. As far as the readathons, I plan to participate in Blackathon, which is hosted by Jessie over on Bow Ties and Books channel. I also wanted to participate in Black Romantic-a-thon, which is a readathon hosted by Mayana and Deja. I will link all of their channels and announcement videos in the description below, but I definitely want to make sure that I participate in those. I also plan on vlogging it, so I'm really looking forward to that. And with that being said, let's get into the prompt. Okay, so I filled this bad boy up in November, like right after I did my December TBR, and so it's been 2 months and I have not touched it, and I am actually a little nervous to be pulling, but I feel like 5 is totally doable. Going in for the first pull, read an adult fantasy by a male author. For that prompt, I'm going to be picking up Age of Swords, which is the second book in the Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. I read Age of Myth in January. I am very intrigued to continue with the series. I already love Michael J. Sullivan. My plan was to read 1 book in the series each month this year, which would have equated to 6 months because there are 6 books in the series, so I was hoping to be done by June. And so this prompt is just very perfect. If you are not familiar with Legends of the First Empire, this is essentially his prequel series to the Year of Revelations, where he's going back in time to set up the establishment of his world, the world of Elan. And there is this oncoming war between the Frey and the humans in this world, and the Frey are basically like elves, and they are considered to be like ethereal godly beings, and humans are just typically subservient to them because they're not as powerful, they don't live as long. However, in Age of Myth, which is the first book in the series, a human is actually able to kill a Frey, which is a contradiction to everything they've ever believed, and it sets off this catalyst for the oncoming war. And so yeah, I'm very much looking forward to reading the sequel. Going in for the second pull, a revenge story. A revenge story. I'm going to use this prompt as an excuse to pick up Red Rising for the second time because I need to reread this before I can continue with the other books in the series. This, I think, would technically count as a revenge story. We're following Darrow, who has been living underneath the surface of the planet Mars, and he has been mining, I don't know if I can't remember if it's like oxygen, but he's doing some type of mining so that humanity can move to the surface of Mars and basically sustain themselves. But then he discovers in book 1 that they have been living underneath the surface for years, and actually Mars has been inhabited, and he is considered a red in this social caste society, and he's basically been a slave to the upper class gold. And so Darrow decides to get revenge by infiltrating the gold hierarchy and pretending to be a gold himself. I'm actually very much looking forward to both of those books. Going in for pull number 3, a book that's set in your country. For that prompt, I'll be picking up a nonfiction to celebrate Black History Month. I need to get to this book, so why not? I'll be reading Heavy, an American memoir by Kais Layman. In Heavy, Layman writes eloquently about growing up a hard-headed Black son to a complicated and brilliant Black mother in Jackson, Mississippi. From his early experiences of sexual violence to his suspension from college to his trek to New York as a young college professor, Layman charts his complex relationship with his family, his weight, sex, gambling, and writing. By attempting to name secrets and lies he and his mother spent a lifetime avoiding, Layman asks himself, his mother, his nation, and us to confront the terrifying possibility that few of us know how to responsibly love. I've heard quite a few positive and just glowing reviews for this book. It's very short. I know that the title Heavy is in reference to the author's weight, and so I'm really looking forward to exploring that aspect especially, and I've heard that it's hard-hitting, so I feel very prepared to pick it up. Going in for the 4th pull, I need to read a new release, and I have so many pre-orders for the month of February. I kind of already know exactly which one I'm going to pick up. I plan to read, is it Powerless? It's the next book in the Elsie Silver series after Loveless. I believe the 3rd book is going to be called Powerless. This is set to come out February 10th, so I have about a week to go. This is going to be a childhood friends to lovers romance. It also has a athletic sports playing. I think he plays hockey if I remember correctly. So there is an athletic love interest, as well as I think he's a country boy as well. So this will have quite a few tropes going into it. I really loved Loveless when I read it. I still haven't read the first book in the series, so I'm technically behind, but I definitely plan to read the third one when it comes out. Now we're going in for our fifth and final pull. Kind of want to pull from the bottom here. Read a book on the New York Times Best of the Year. Okay, let's go look at what they listed as the best of the year. I see an article here from the New York Times that lists the 10 best books of 2022. From this list, I'll be selecting The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. I remember seeing this book literally everywhere last year, and the cover was slightly intriguing. I almost wanted to pick it up, but it just really seemed like it wasn't my vibe. So this seems like the perfect opportunity to check it out. This is supposed to be an electrifying, deeply moving novel about the quest for authenticity, privacy, and meaning in a world where our memories are no longer our own. It's a dystopia, which is always my jam. I'm still very much in love with dystopians, and I really wish they would make a comeback. So any opportunity to pick up a new dystopia, I'm always down for. On top of those 5 books, as well as the books that I'll be reading for the readathons I plan to participate in, there are 4 other books that I would like to put on the list, and if I can make my way around to them, I would really love to do so. First up, we have Parable of the Sower. I have been putting off reading Octavia E. Butler for so freaking long, and I feel like this is the year that it's time for me to dive into her works. I've heard so many raving reviews about this story, and I feel FOMO. I feel FOMO every time I see someone pick this book up and recommend it for how amazing it is, and I still have not yet picked it up. There are quite a few authors in addition to Octavia E. Butler, like Toni Morrison, that I have been like putting off, not just because I'm intimidated, but I don't know, I just feel like I want to take the time and make sure I have like the mental capacity to really dive into their stories and read it from an analytical mindset and not just like how I usually read stories. And so I just haven't been in that space to really do so, but I'm hoping to get to those books this year, starting with Parable of the Sower. The next book that I would really love to get to if I have the opportunity would be Don't Cry for Me by Daniel Black. This book is about a father's letter to his queer son. We're following Jacob, and Jacob has been estranged from his son for years, and he is dying. And so he wants to write a letter to Isaac explaining all of the things that he never got a chance to in his life, in hopes that Isaac would understand more about his family's history with slavery and growing up in the South, as well as the tumultuous relationship that Jacob had with Isaac's mother, and how all of these things shaped how Jacob saw fatherhood, or saw the type of father he was supposed to be, and why he reacted to his son coming out as queer the way that he did. I've heard that this is very thought-provoking and just aggressively emotional, and when I seen the synopsis, I was kind of going back and forth over whether or not I wanted to pick up another story like that, especially because I had just recently read Razorblade Tears, which is also about fathers reconciling that their queer sons are no longer with them. And I don't know, I feel like I wasn't really in the headspace to pick it up, but since I've been seeing so many people read this book and love it, I feel like I want to give it the opportunity and the chance that I would have given it if I was in a better headspace. The next book is a new release that just came out in January, and that is going to be The Fresh Prince Project. This is how the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air remixed America. I thought that this was such a timely release, and also I love the Fresh Prince TV show, so I also wanted to check it out just for those reasons. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how the author is going to connect the show to America as a whole, and not just the African American community, which is where my thought process would have been, is what I would have just assumed that the author was going to take the story. It's a nonfiction, but how he's going to spread this umbrella from the TV show over America as a whole, I'm very intrigued by. So the last book is a book that I'm pretty certain I'll be picking up because I plan to fit it into some of the prompts for the readathons I'm participating in, and that is going to be Reggie and Delilah's Year of Falling by Elise Bryant. This is the same author who wrote Happily Ever After, which is another YA black contemporary romance as well. We'll be following Delilah, who is often seen as just very stoic and nonchalant with her emotions. We'll also be following Reggie, who is a nerd and a game master for Dungeons and Dragons. They're gonna meet up on 3 separate holidays: New Year's Day, Valentine's Day, as well as St. Patrick's Day. Each time the characters reconnect, Delilah finds herself wanting to be more like Reggie, just loving the things that he loves out loud, even if it's not considered cool for a black kid to do. Little does Delilah know that all of these these things is a front, and the confidence that Reggie portrays to her is not one that he showcases at home with his family, as well as he's really just pretending to be the type of guy that he thinks he needs to be to hang out with Delilah. As their feelings for one another grow stronger, they will have to come to terms with the fact that they may be falling in love with the false narrative of each other. So for our true TBR for this month, I'll be reading Age of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, Heavy by Kais Lehman, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, Powerless by Elsie Silver, as well as The Candy House by, what's her name? Egan? I already forgot it. I'm terrible at this. Jennifer Egan. I'll also be reading The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. And then I have my TBR hopefuls for the month of February, and that's going to be Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black, The Fresh Prince Project by Chris Palmer, Reggie and Delilah's Year of Falling by Elise Bryant, as well as The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. While I'm very excited for the books that I'll be reading in February, I hope that you guys are participating in some readathons as well as celebrating Black History Month in whatever way you see fit. Thank you for watching my video. If you've made it to the end, leave me a black power fist, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!